Like any literature, readers are always hooked on a good plot and how the writer made the story flow, from the beginning to the end. Makoto Yukimura's Vinland Saga is one exceptional manga that shows the creator's ingenuity. Working for 14 years, Makoto Yukimura has been able to capture the complexity of life, hopes, aspirations, and dreams of each character in his manga against the backdrop of continuing wars between kingdoms. It is about a quest for peace of a son, based on the dream of his late father. Furthermore, to accurately depict the life, culture, and tradition of the Vikings, Makoto Yukimura traveled to Norway and Scandinavia to do intensive research about these people, which the author finds difficult since he only knows little English and can't speak Norwegian. He also went to England, Denmark, France, Iceland, and Canada. But his hard work paid off since he has been able to capture in the story that portion of humankind's colorful history through the pages of Vinland Saga. Meanwhile, another noticeable point about Viking Saga's storytelling is that it focuses on the reality that villains and heroes are people, and they are living in a world of both hardships and opportunities. Moreover, Makoto Yukimura has been able to depict the humanity of each character, no matter how the reader sees them, a friend or a foe, a hero or a villain. The encompassing nature of the story enables the readers to shift from one perspective to another without feeling lost or something, despite the story's complexity. Since Makoto Yukimura is also a master illustrator, the illustrations for Vinland Saga's manga are superb. While the pictures aren't moving, they enable you to travel into the world of the characters. The pen and ink effect that Makoto Yukimura has used added to the dramatic effect of the already exciting plot. With much fluidity when it comes to his illustrations, Makoto Yukimura has been able to capture not only the scenes but also the exact emotions of the characters, and the heaviness or lightness of the situation. The well-researched characters, places, customs, and traditions, the Vinland Saga will take you to the world of Vikings, which is also a world of people whose emotions, experiences, hope, despair, and dreams are intertwined. Furthermore, the stories of the individual characters will also make you think about human nature, social relationships, and the roots of social conflicts. Since the manga also speaks deeply about morality and ethics, its philosophical undertones add to the story's richness. With a great plot, interesting story, and great works of art, the Vinland Saga is one of the best manga you will enjoy reading, not to mention that it will soon become a contemporary classic. Now, let's talk about the story itself. Thorfinn is the main protagonist of Vinland Saga. Throughout the story, Thorfinn witnesses events that shape his character. As a kid, he was nothing more than an innocent boy, who grew up in a loving family. Unlike other kids, Thorfinn wanted to be a strong person like his father. Sadly, Thorfinn's entire life came crashing down when he snuck on board Thor's ship. He became a ruthless killer, who didn't hesitate to murder anyone. Thankfully, Thorfinn didn't remain the same person forever. Over the course of the series, Thorfinn was involved in various events that shaped him into the person that he is. I have just caught up to the Vinland Saga manga. Thorfinn is an absolute phenomenon of a character. I never thought that edgy teen from the first season would turn into a true warrior. I am going to analyze Thorfinn and what caused him to be a true warrior. After witnessing his father's death, Thorfinn's heart was filled with vengeance, and all he wanted to do was kill Askeladd. Sadly, at the time, Thorfinn was too weak, so he had no option but to travel with Askeladd's group. When the band of mercenaries arrived on an island, Thorfinn decided to follow them. During the short time that he was on the island, Thorfinn ate scraps to stay alive. On the other hand, Askeladd and his group continued to pillage, but they were attacked by soldiers who were ruthless. They didn't hesitate to attack Thorfinn, but luckily, Askeladd managed to arrive just in time to save him. This incident made Thorfinn realize that he couldn't continue to be passive. Moments after surviving a scare, Thorfinn was attacked again, but this time he decided to fight back. He stabbed the man and killed him. This was a massive turning point in his life, as he had officially stepped into the world of warriors. Thorfinn continued to be a part of Askeladd's mercenary group, as he wanted to challenge the latter to a duel. Thorfinn was given many dangerous missions, which he completed without any problems. His growth as a fighter was staggering, but he still couldn't defeat Askeladd. Thorfinn was solely focused on killing Askeladd. Nothing else mattered to him. Thorfinn expected that he would be the one to kill his father's murderer, but life had other plans for him. When Knut's group traveled to meet King Sweyn, no one expected things to descend into chaos. As Askeladd stepped forward to receive his honor, Sweyn blackmailed him. Having been left with no other choice, Askeladd lobbed off the king's head, prompting the soldiers to attack, but none of them could even scratch him. Eventually, Knut stepped up and stabbed Askeladd. Thorfinn could only stand there and watch as these events unfolded before his eyes. He approached Askeladd and kept shouting that he couldn't die before their duel. In his last moments, Askeladd asked Thorfinn what he planned to do with his life. Unsurprisingly, Thorfinn had no answer, as he had never thought about it. Needless to say, the final conversation that he had with Askeladd proved to be life-changing for Thorfinn. Askeladd's death shook Thorfinn to the core. For the most part of his life, he only had one goal: to kill Askeladd. When his enemy was killed by someone else, Thorfinn fell into despair. Shortly afterward, Thorfinn ended up as a slave on Ketil's farm. Thorfinn found it difficult to adjust to the lifestyle, but with time, everything started to fall into place. Thorfinn became a different man, and he lost all the rage. From time to time, Askeladd would appear in his subconscious and talk to him about the old times, but Thorfinn stayed strong. Einar happily lived with his family in a small village, but it all went up in smoke when the Vikings attacked. Einar's family was slaughtered, and he was taken as a slave. He thought of running away many times, but he knew that survival wouldn't be possible. Einar was eventually bought by Ketil, who took him to his farm. The first meeting between Einar and Thorfinn was not very eventful, but as the story progressed, the two became well acquainted with each other. Einar's positive attitude helped Thorfinn when he was struggling with his inner self. With Einar's continued support, Thorfinn was able to find his path and change his ways completely. As the two were working together almost all the time, it is difficult to single out just one moment that showed Thorfinn's development. Thorfinn, until he became a slave, did not understand what Thor's meant by "A true warrior doesn't need a sword." Before delving into the development that Thorfinn receives later on, let's take a brief look at Thorfinn before he turned into a true warrior. Thorfinn was a murder machine. He killed anyone if ordered by Askeladd, so that he would get a reward, a duel from Askeladd. At this point of the story, Thorfinn did not care about anyone. He didn't care how many people died, how many villages were pillaged, only if he got that duel with Askeladd. But then, this happened. Thorfinn devoted all of his life to revenge. If he got his revenge, he would have nothing he could cling on to. Nothing. Not hatred, not a dream. The only thing that'd be left with him would be nothing. Not even regrets, however. He could not get his revenge. But he realized something. Thorfinn realized that, all this time, Askeladd was trying to teach him something. Something very important, but he could not realize what it was. So that resulted in him being empty. With nothing to cling on to, Thorfinn was just an empty slave. But the thing is, he wasn't completely empty. What he retained was regrets. But then, with the help of Einar, he experienced something he had never done before. Something positive to cling on to. And that was the key to Thorfinn's realization of what Askeladd and Thors were trying to teach him. All the souls he killed are now seeking salvation. Thorfinn must fight in order to atone for all of the sins he committed. He must climb up and fight. He must fight and send all of the souls he killed to a place. That place is somewhere not here. A place called Vinland. A place without war or death. A place of peace and prosperity. A paradise. Fighting and taking other people's lives is meaningless. The true battle that Thorfinn must fight is to be able to create this Vinland. In this world, many seek salvation from this horrible place. To many, death is the soul's salvation from this cruel world. Thorfinn must fight to create a salvation from this place even better than death, and that is Vinland. Vinland right now is just a dream. But clinging to this dream of creating Vinland is what pushes him forward. Vinland, to Thorfinn, is the salvation to all his sins he committed in the past. An atonement for his sins too. He learned what his father and Askeladd were trying to teach him all along. Now, how does that affect Thorfinn? Look at his eyes now. Unlike at the beginning of the story or the beginning of the slave arc, his eyes are now filled with life and regret. Just like his father Thor's. He is the son of Thor's. He has learned that a true warrior doesn't need a sword. He is determined not to use his last resort of violence ever again. He will try everything to win without getting himself or his opponent killed. He respects life now. Thorfinn's development is the most human and realistic I have ever seen. He is indeed one of the greatest protagonists in anime and manga. Thorfinn's character development and life's motivation has been equally shaped, influenced, and was also an inspiration to other characters. This was something the author took the time and effort to show throughout the story arcs. If you are someone who can appreciate a great story and know that the best stories are those that are not just action and action all the time, Vinland Saga is definitely for you. Read the manga and watch the anime. You won't regret it. It was a great learning experience to analyze a character like Thorfinn. We have now reached the end of this video. I appreciate the 100 subscriptions, people. I hope you all continue to support me, in particular on YouTube. You may also follow me on my other social media accounts by clicking the link in my bio.